Hey there, Graybeardians. Welcome back, and thank you very much for listening. This is Season 3, Episode 1, and I'm really going to just go ahead and talk about data on the upcoming season, where I've been, what's been going on, why I haven't been publishing, etc. I do want to say thank you to so many of you that have been asking questions and sending me notes. I did receive a request actually to do a one-on-one video talk with a listener, and it went very well. I spent about, I think, an hour with the gentleman. Actually, he asked for 30 minutes, but we kept talking. And in the end, I think that it turned out that he really wasn't a big fan of cybersecurity, and he was getting into the profession because he got his degree in it and he wanted to know my thoughts. So we talked for about an hour, and then months went by, and I received a nice note from him thanking me for the input and insight and how it affected him and his life and his decisions. So I want you to know that I'm here for you as well. If you would like to email me, cybergraybeard@gmail.com. If I have time, I'm more than happy to do conversations, video discussions, one-on-one with individuals. So again, I'm here for you. It's a theme of what I've done and what I've talked about. I don't do this for money. I don't do this for accolades. I do this for you. And if there weren't so many requests and emails and conversations, I wouldn't continue doing this. I feel bad that I haven't been speaking to you for the last 8 months. There was a lot that was going on. The first of which is COVID, obviously. I mean, that's the key to the world so far for the last 15, 16 months. And I and my wife and 2 of the 4 kids ended up catching COVID. So that kind of knocked me on my butt for a while last fall. And then I actually suffered from some of the fatigue and the long haulers. So it was very difficult to find the energy between work and doing the podcast and recovering. I did have the J&J shot. I did it specifically because I wanted to see if that would help with long haulers, and I think that it has. Both my wife and I are doing a bit better because of that. So we fully recovered last fall, but the fatigue, the brain fog, it was difficult to, on a weekend day or in the evening, sit down and put out a podcast. So I apologize for that to you. However, I'm on the mend. I'm excited. I'm back. I'm healthy. I'm strong. And I'm here for you to have conversations and discussions. This one I am doing in video. I am putting this out on YouTube because I do have a handful or a couple score of folks on YouTube that follow me, and I do encourage you to shift away from YouTube because really you're just staring at my ugly mug the whole time. I think that it's best to do this as a podcast. So download Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcast. I'm on all of those. I don't know what podcast tool I'm not on. If you don't see me where you want to see me, let me know and I'll do my best to get out there. I'm pretty sure Google Podcast has it as well. So I did some research back in 2019 when I built this persona and put out the solution. It should be on all the podcasts. So for your YouTube viewers, please go ahead and do that. I will put up some blurbs and 15-second shots for some of the episodes, but really subscribe to the podcast on your player of choice, and that's the best way to hear me. This season, I'm going to go ahead and do at least 10 episodes plus a couple to a few to maybe several guest speakers or conferences that I participate in. The first one is actually coming up in 3 days, so by the time you see this, I will have spoken at the Virginia Cybersecurity Education Conference. They wanted me to actually speak as Cybersecurity Graybeard. It's a 15-minute session. It's basically what I do here. I'm going to be talking to educators of universities, community colleges, and some high school folks. Just tell them about the persona, why I do this, what's the goal of the podcast, and discuss some of the podcasts I've done in the past. So for those of you that follow me that are interested, if I do get permission to post that session, I will later in the season as a special event. Work. So I talked about COVID being a delay. Work has been fantastic. Obviously, as you're all very well aware, cybersecurity is a booming business and it will keep all of us employed for an entire career. Me, I have 10 or 15 years left, knock on wood. For you guys, I think it's probably closer to 30 to 40, which is wonderful. It's going to be very exciting. I have had 2 major projects at my company. One was a very large deal to help an organization build a cybersecurity program from scratch, and the other one, I do some operations leadership for a financial services organization on the East Coast, and they were moving products from servers from a data center to another. It was actually much more than servers. This is a massive architectural shift, and dealing with the security ramifications, managing multiple people. So I've been really excited at work, been very busy. So between COVID and work and taking care of the yard and all the stuff with regular life, those are all my excuses. So if that's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. So that's where I'm at. So again, I'm committed to 10 episodes to plan on listening. I'm going to go ahead and share a handful of those right now, probably 6 or 7 that I've already thought of. And I want to hear from you. So reach out, cybergraybeard@gmail.com with questions or comments. So with that said, some upcoming episodes that I'm going to include, that I will record, are going to include the following. This one, the first one, what to study at work and how to steer my career. I'm doing that right after I record this, and I'll put that out later in July. I am blessed at the company I work at that we have something called a CEPP. It's the Cyber Security Early Professional Program. And I speak to roughly 15 to 25 individuals. I have a 45-minute session about mentors and mentees. So I spoke to these early professionals and told them what a mentor can do, what a mentee should do, and I spent quite a bit of time explaining the benefits that my company offers to the early professionals and for them to reach out, and they'll be assigned mentors. One of the individuals reached out to me within minutes, and very assertive, very, very strong, solid individual. He reached out and said, hey, Eric, I'm already confused. What do I listen to? What do I study? What should I get into so I can be the best me at the company and plan for the future of my career? So I want to basically just talk to you guys and tell you what I told him. It was going to be a 30-minute conversation. Again, it went to an hour. I don't know how that always happens with me, but the gentleman was very nice, and he has a wonderful background. He graduated from an East Coast school. He signed up for the military. He's in the national, I think it was the Navy Reserve. And so he was explaining that to me, and I was explaining to him what he should be doing at our company to grow his skills. And I want to share that with you. So that's coming right up after this. And then other issues, I guess there are issues if you want to look at it from a comic book or magazine perspective. But the other topics that I'm going to cover, I have no order for these. I am going to start with what to study at work. But then after that, I'm going to go into the following. Somebody once made a comment to me that I'm too good for that. I don't want that job, or I don't want to do that work. This is an attitude that some young professionals have, and it's a hindrance. My father told me long ago, he goes, in life we have to do that which we don't want to do, so we have the opportunity to do that which we do want to do. I have stuff at work I don't like. I'm not a huge fan of filling out RFPs, requests for proposals. And I said that before on this podcast, and I'll say it again and again. I'm not a big fan of it. I do it. I have a lot of knowledge, and it helps. Sometimes I'll bring in an early professional and guide them as to where to go and what to do. But in the end, I have to review it. I have to edit it. I have to validate it. Other things I don't like to do, statements of work. They're legal documents, but they're contractually based legal documents on what the work will be. As an architect, I have to write that out. So I'm not too good for that. Yeah, I have 30 years. Yeah, I'm a really senior fellow. That doesn't mean anything. The work needs to get done. You do the work. So I'm going to spend my normal 10 to 15 minutes discussing I'm too good for that. If you have that attitude on certain things, it's going to hurt you. So make sure you get beyond that. The next episode, not issue, but episode, is going to be talking about owning your own career. And I actually have had this note up here for probably a year. I've wanted to do this episode for a long time. This one will come early in season 3. And it's a discussion going over how to stay ahead, how to get ahead, and how to stay confident and happy. I recently talked to a young professional at work on how he can stand out and move up quickly. It was another one of our early professionals, and I talked to the one individual about what he should study and what he should work on. And this other guy goes, how can I get to the front of the pack and stay there? And I want to go over that a little bit with you folks as well. Another one is getting back to basics. This is a talk about niche certifications, or niche, whatever, however you want to say it. Getting a specific certification as a Cisco CCNA and then going out and doing contract work just in the Cisco networking world. Or something a little bit more specific and more micro would be getting a degree in or learning about AlgoSec, or getting into Illumio, or Fortinet, or Palo Alto. And I'll go on and on about some of these other technologies, but you don't have to sit there and say, I'm going to be a Microsoft certified systems engineer and then go do administration, or I'm going to go get my CCIE, which is a really, really high-end networking cert, and just go do Cisco. I work with some people that know Palo Alto, and they do their work on Palo. They have a career. They just stay up to date on Palo Alto. And then when we get a call for Fortinet, they go, I don't know Fortinet. Get me another Palo contract. And we're like, go learn Palo. So that's something that I want to talk to you folks about as well. Another episode that I'm going to do, it was the least popular episode that I did last season, I believe, but it is so important. It's on privacy. Privacy matters. Why don't people care? I don't get it. I'm still going to do the episode. I hope you'll listen to it. And if you don't, I'm going to do it for me because I enjoy it and I know how important it is. I'm actually going to talk a little bit about history. I don't know how many folks realize this, but back in the 1960s, the FBI was investigating Martin Luther King Jr., and they were following him because they were concerned he was going to be a radical and he may be an issue. And there are so many stories about how the government has used information to hunt down people, to track people, to blackmail people. And nowadays with social media, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of it, with people putting so much out there, I want to help people understand what the world has been like in the past. And that was without people sharing this about them. So I will do the Privacy Matters, Why People Don't Care episode. Another one is going to be on red team, blue team, purple team. What are they? How do they play into cybersecurity? And is this a role for you? So it talks about red teaming as pen testing and vulnerability management, blue teaming, SOC and SIM, and then purple team is the mix of the both. And so I'm going to go into a little bit of that. It's a little bit about what I did last season with the offensive tools and actions and defensive tools and actions, but this episode is going to be around the professions and how this plays out in the real world. One additional episode that I'm going to do, and this is the last that I will preview here, is on books that I've read and recommend. I have, during this COVID shutdown of the 8 months, I didn't just sit on my butt the whole time, honestly. I did read, and I'm not a big reader, but I did finish Sandworm, and I finished Dark Mirror and Hacker in the State, and right now I'm pretty deep into the coming cyber war. So I'm going to basically do a book review on those. I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't find it boring, but I will say this. Sandworm by Andy Greenberg, fantastic book. Dark Mirror is wonderful as well, and Hacker in the State I really, really enjoyed. The Coming Cyber War, that's a good book. I'm not sure how relevant it's going to be for everybody. The title is snazzy, but it's really about teaching executives about cybersecurity. It's extraordinarily similar to a presentation and talk that I did last year on business leadership and cybersecurity integration. This book actually has charts that I used in my presentation. It has examples I used in my presentation. So I don't know the author. It's a gentleman out of Houston, but he and I are on the same page. His book is good. It's well written, and it really is talking to non-technical professionals. So if you're getting into cyber, you're switching over, or you're on the executive track, then that book would be good for you. But I'm going to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes going over those books, talking about some examples. So that's 7 of the 10. And then 8 through 10, don't know yet. It's to be determined. I want to hear from you. I may go through the emails and pull something out, but shoot me a note. Again, cybergraybeard@gmail.com, and let me know what you would like to hear. So I will post the specials if I can. The one that I mentioned already was the Virginia Cybersecurity Education Conference that I will be doing in 3 days. If they authorize me to publish it, I will put up the audio. And then later in the fall, I have been asked by the InfoSec Institute to participate as either a panelist or a guest in a fireside chat, and that will be in mid to late October. And if they authorize me to post that as well as a special, I will. That won't come out until probably around Thanksgiving, though. And then who knows? It's TBD. I didn't know about that InfoSec Institute until 3 days ago. I got an email from them asking if I was interested, if I would be interested. So, we'll see what happens for me and what happens to you. Ask the questions. Maybe something will come of it. And one thing I would like to pose and ask is, would the audience be interested in me interviewing people? I have thought about interviewing a mentee of mine, Eula. He is 24, 25. He's an early professional. He left the company that I work for, and he's hopped around a little bit. Great guy, and I think his story would be of value. And I just want to know, are you interested in hearing from early professionals, what they're doing, how they're doing it? And also, I get approached by people through my email, my website actually, telling me, hey, we have guest speakers. Do you want them on your show? And I said, well, it's not really the show I use. I'm pretty much here to talk and help early professionals and students learn, grow, and advance. If you're interested in hearing me interview people or do guest speakers, just holler. Again, cybergraybeard@gmail.com. I'm happy to go ahead and do that if it is something the audience would like. So that's pretty much it. This is just a primer for what's coming, and I will go ahead and end it there. And I'm going to be putting these out on Wednesday mornings at around 11 Eastern. This one will be going up on July 21st. You're going to see it then. And then I'll start doing it right after that, week to week to week, and maybe a break in the middle if I take a vacation. But other than that, Cybersecurity Graybeard is back. I'm here to help, ask questions, keep strong, learn, grow, and advance, and I look forward to chatting with you. Take care.